This was made possible by
the treaty was established to promote cooperation and integration in order to create an economic and monetary union for economic development, growth, and prosperity in West Africa. It was meant to cover aspects of economic activity, particularly industrialization, transportation, telecommunication, energy, agribusiness, monetary and financial areas, social and cultural matter. The focus was the economic welfare and well-being of the people of West Africa through monetary and custom union, binding together through legislation, productive capacities and capabilities and market of West Africa. It took about 20 years for the scope of ECOWAS to be expanded to include issues such as democratic governance, economic and social justice, and the promotion of human rights. This expansion of the scope of ECOWAS was captured in the revised Treaty of July 1993. The difference between the 1975 Treaty and the 1993 Treaty is important to highlight because it sets the stage for understanding some of the successes of ECOWAS as well as some of the challenges bedeviling the organization and indeed the West African sub-region today. I believe that some of the criticisms of ECOWAS today stem from this fundamental shift of the organization from one which focused on regional economic integration to one which dabbled into internal political issues of member states. That shift has proven to be a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it has been used to bring peace and stability in some countries in the region, such as I said earlier, in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, and in Cote d'Ivoire, in Guinea-Bissau. On the other hand, it has created problems that have now led to the withdrawal of 3 key member states, showcasing the apparent weakness of the organization in dealing with internal political issues of member states, especially when confronted by defiant leadership. Events of the recent past have caused great concern about the fate of the Union as it confronts the challenges caused by withdrawal of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger from ECOWAS and their subsequent formation of the Alliance of Sahel States, AES. The region also faces challenges around security, safety, well-being, and progress of the people of West Africa. Some of these challenges include, I think Mohammed brought this out, terrorism and extremism, particularly in the Sahel states, which has led to increased violence and instability across the West African sub-region, ease of access to guns, even though Mohammed is looking after keeping guns silent, he's not looking after transfer or access to guns. We hope that if we cannot stop access to guns, we can keep them silent. Increased poverty and inequality. According to reports, 7 of the world's 10 most unequal countries are in Africa, with West African governments being the least committed to reducing inequality on the continent. Increased political instability leading to coups and counter-coups, with 6 successful coups and numerous unsuccessful coups in the last 5 years alone. Permit me just to remind you of some of these successful coups in West Africa since 2020. Mali 2020, President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta was overthrown by Colonel Assimi Goïta on August 18, 2020. Also Mali 2021, Transitional President Ba Indo was ousted by Vice President Colonel Assimi Goïta on May 24, 2021. Guinea 2021, President Alpha Condé was detained and the constitution dissolved by Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya on September 5, 2021. Burkina Faso 2022, January 2022, President Rochmark Christian Kabore was overthrown by Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Sandago Damiba on January 24, 2022. September 2022, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Sandago Damiba was ousted by Captain Ibrahim Traore on September 30, 2022. Niger Republic 2023, President Mohamed Bazoum was ousted by Colonel Amadou Abdraman and General Abdraman Chani on July 26 to 28, 2023. Let us not bother to mention the foiled coups or alleged coups, because it will seem that in a country like Burkina Faso, foiled coups have become a regular occurrence. The resurgence of coups and unconstitutional change of government in West Africa has been a litmus test for the effectiveness and relevance, if not survival, of ECOWAS. The coup trend and the efforts by ECOWAS leaders to push back with sanctions and threats of military intervention led to the withdrawal of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger Republic from ECOWAS, and their subsequent establishment of our new union, the Alliance of Sahelian States, AES, about a year ago. The split by the trio has left ECOWAS in a very precarious situation. We should bear in mind that in the 50 years history of the organization, the exit by the AES countries was the first of such exit, and in such number. The unprecedented move caught ECOWAS off guard and exposed the regional bloc's weaknesses in dealing with defiant member states. It showed that sanctions were no longer enough to keep member states in check, and threats of military action were to aggravate the situation. We could see that a heavy-handed ECOWAS only alienated member states. And yet, what is the point of having a union if it cannot exert influence, if not control, over member states? But it all depends on how. I will come back to that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the true color of our situation in West Africa. Where then do we really go from here?